Mo, glad you could join me. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Also, check out the Lou and Mo podcast. CB Lifestyle and Apparel is the wear. This is the cut from a different cloth shirt. Um, check it out. We also have a bunch of new apparel coming out, sweatsuits, hoodies, women's clothes, kids' clothes, everything. So check me out. Also, CB Life Every Day is coming soon online. Candles, skincare, stuff like that for everyday essentials. You know what I mean? Do it the CB Lifestyle way. Also, um, working on another website as well. Check me out. So I wanted to get into something. The big thing going on now is the Roe versus Wade. Um, and I think again, this is these are examples all the time that happen. Um, it's a lot of emotion, right? A lot of emotion, and people are emotional. But for me, this is my understanding, right? So this is how I come at it from, and I try to come at it from a different point of view, because a lot of people, you know, they either they're told about it and that's what they think about it, and they don't really know the situation, right? Or they come at it from one side and they never want to look at another side of something. And there's always pros and cons, there's good and bad about everything, right? If you can, that's why anytime I have a conversation with somebody, I want to try to get that as a middle point, that no matter what your solution or what your answer is good and bad, right? It's not going to help everybody, might not hurt everybody, could hurt more people than it helps. It's got to have that back and forth. There's no way that everything that gets passed and everything that's put into play is good for everybody, right? Because they can show you bad sides of it, they can show you good sides of it. It's just, that is life, right? There's no utopian legislation or laws or anything that's passed that's going to be good for everybody and not hurt anybody in the long term and the short term. It's just, it is what it is. So I like to establish that first, and that's where I'm coming from when I always talk about stuff. Because to be honest with you, and I say this is for a lot of people, a lot of regular, normal people in the world, as long as you're not too far on one side or the other. I would say, especially in the black community, the abortion thing is not a big thing. And that's just being honest. You can see from what's going on in the news, right? You see these people protesting and all that. You don't see no black people, right? Not like when it was BLM, it was black people, right? Because that was Black Lives Matter type of thing. You know what I mean? So these ones, you're not gonna see it too much, right? We ain't coming out. We're not marching down in the hood about this. It doesn't really bother us that much. It's not just not one of those topics that they get it. Maybe women, for sure women. What's crazy to me too, and this might go off a little bit, but the most of the women I see are at least like it'd be gay guys, right? Lesbians, women that don't even want to have kids, right? Most of these women don't want to have kids. They ain't even thinking about having kids, type of thing. And these are the ones that go out there and cause the most ruckus when it comes to this situation. Or it's really young girls that their mom was pushing them, and now they think they have to be part of it and they want to be part of something. Everybody want to be part of something nowadays, and that's why people be going so gun-ho, because they don't want to just be in it. They want to be like, we want to be able to go back 30 years and be like, I was there, right? And I think that's kind of, it's kind of selfish. It's really kind of like vain for yourself, right, to be able to do that. But again, it is what it is. So I wanted to talk about my understanding of it, right, how I look at it, right. So as far as we could take it from different parts, right. As far as the law itself, right, it was always a wishy-washy thing. Like, it was always never really stable where it was like, this should be the law, right? Especially federally. See, that's the whole thing with the Roe versus Wade. A lot of people, maybe they do understand, I don't know, but it seems like they don't, is that it just doesn't establish it as a federal law, right? It doesn't establish it as a federal law, so it leaves it to the state. And that's the kind of way our government was designed from the beginning, right? So that the federal law, they can't just push everything among everybody. Each state is different, because each state is different, right? Alabama is not California, right? North Dakota is not Texas, right? Oklahoma is not New York City. Alaska is not, Arizona, right? So we live in different states. We have different things going on. We got different groups of people moving in. We have different environment. We have a different economy, right? For the most part, and especially when you're spreading out that far. So you leave it up to the states to make that decision, right? In Utah, right? Utah is, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Mormons. So you got to kind of bend that to the majority of the people that's there, right? Because they live there, right? So I say all that to say is, what I mean, like the it was just putting it back to the states. That was the whole thing about Roe v. Wade, and that's just simplest way of putting it. Right? I'm not no scholar, historian, but that was simply what it was. It was just it was not federal no more, and some states already were putting in place these trigger laws, where if it happened, they were going to do this and that, and they were already doing that. Like they were doing that, setting that early, and now when it went into play, now they can ban it. And all of them are. I don't. For the most part, from what I read, like most of them aren't banning it altogether, right? Some people are, they're still doing a certain amount of weeks, or some of them, like I think even in Mississippi, I think I read, or Louisiana, it might be Mississippi or Louisiana, where they're still doing it. Where if it's rape or incest, there's still a way to have an abortion type of thing. So, but my whole thing about that's just going off of the political side of it. Like it was federal, now it's state. States make the decision on it. As far as how I feel about abortions, period, right? Is I'm a believer, and that's up to you, right? That you have to face God one day, right? Some people don't believe at all. They like to use religion against people who do believe, but they don't believe. So it's kind of, I don't listen to you when you're talking like that. When you start to bring up God and you don't believe in Him, then it's kind of like you're just trying to use that to make a point, but it's something that you don't believe in at all anyway. So it's kind of, I don't believe you. So my whole thing is, like I said, you got to deal with those consequences, right? And I understand that individually you deal with them. The other part about that is, so that's why I said I'm kind of, up and back and forth on it, because, but I do want you to understand that you are taking a life, right? I don't think you are taking something that could be a life, right? It would be like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just like a seed that's in the ground, pulling the seed up. A seed is not alive though, so that'd be a hard one to use. But you are taking a life. Like when I saw my son when he was first like conceived, right? He was just a little bean. He was like a little bean thing. Couldn't even really see what he was, right? I don't remember the first time I saw it, but it wasn't like something that was fingers and arms and heartbeat and all that stuff. But I knew he was a little bean. And I look at my son today at 10, and I could have just got rid of that little bean, and I wouldn't have had my son, right? And that's to me that hits me in the heart, because that little bean that I was like, just a little bean, just get rid of it now. We don't need it. At the time, me and my wife, we kind of did it the way that I think most people should do it. Is we were dating, got married, then had kids, which I think is the best way for people to do it in the first place. But a lot of people aren't, and I think we need to get back to that, but that's a whole other story. So, you know what I mean? So, like, you just have to know that you are taking a life. Like, the way that people talk about it sometimes, and it might be just the people they interview, the really far people on one side, is like, I'd have another one, or I keep having them, or, like, it's like a thing, and it kind of sounds sickening, to be honest with you, because I'm thinking about it as my son was that little bean, and you just tossing them out daily, right? Like, because you want to, not because naturally your body can't do it, or not because something happened and now you can't have the baby. That was an accident, right? Those are accidents, those are things that happen alone. When you make a choice to do it, then that's kind of like you made that choice to get rid of the baby type of thing, right? So you got to deal with that. So if it's an accident or something, you can't control that. It's not something that you were able to stop from happening, right? If you get, something happens to you, or you get sick from it, or whatever, that was just something naturally was going to happen, and that's part of nature and how it works. So I just don't. I do kind of understand, like, my choice, but the thing is, it's because that's why I don't like. And there's a lot of times there's people on the left, liberals, you're not really consistent with what you're saying. Like sometimes you go on tangents about stuff, and it doesn't make sense to me, because the same way, my body, my choice, I could revert that. A lot of people are saying to the vaccine, right? There was a lot of that going on, my body, my choice, and you are hearing that. And that one actually was kind of more, because that's just me not wanting to get stuck with a needle, right, and get a vaccine, and you were forcing me to do it, because if I didn't, I couldn't go into society, I couldn't do things, right? I still can't go on cruises as we speak, because of that, which is, you know, a whole nother thing. But anyway, so um, you know, that's how I feel about it. And I think people, you know, they go extremes, right? Um, there's a lot of people on both sides that are really extreme about it. They go really far. And I think that, you know, then they start bringing in other stuff. Like I heard, you know, I think it was Charlemagne and somebody else, you know, Ebro or whatever. He's talking about, you know, because black people redo history so much that you can't believe anything anymore. Like everything is, they make everything unbelievable, right? Because they have like videos of, um, I don't know who the lady was, but they have videos and, you know, they're talking about this lady has this book somebody read that is step by step on how they would do it or whatever. You gotta throw all that shit out the window. I don't know where this information is coming from, and I don't know how you accepting this as reality. You only accept what you want to, right? You don't believe like history itself, right? History, you don't believe it, right? You want to recreate history, right? So now you want to change certain things in history that go along with your thing, and I don't believe in that. I don't believe in changing certain things so that they match my, you know, where I stand and what I'm pushing for. I think it's kind of like you kind of insane, you kind of crazy, right? Because you want to change everything. Like, oh no, take this part. This part was for us. This part's not for us. This part is for us. Like history is history. It was already happened. It's already in the timeline, right? Some things come out different times, and you get to see what happened, and you got to go off of that. But to change it and be like, no, 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 this is what they really, you know, it's crazy. So, anyways, so like they posted stuff like that, and I'm trying to understand it. But abortions, to be honest with you, hurt black population more than it hurts white population, like per abortion, like per thing, right? It's like 5 times more, right? As you know, population wise. So you know, if it was a thing, because somebody was saying this originally, like when they talk about Margaret Sanger and they talk about Planned Parenthood, they said that that was a way to, you know, cut down the black population, right? Because we're just talking about black and white now, but the black population, right? So it worked, right? It obviously was working 5 times as many, right, than white people have abortions. So there's no argument there. That's just the numbers. That is what it is, right? Whether it was ever, see, I'm not gonna go back and say was it really planned for that? Did Margaret, you know, did she says it? So I got to go off what she says. But you know, if you had her to explain herself, maybe she changed. Maybe she wasn't saying what she was saying. But I don't know. What I'm saying is, though, that's what's going on right now. It's 5 times as many. So if you wanted to raise the black population, then yeah, if you did abortions, it would raise it more. Because that's why I think, like, what's funny is people are upset about it, but like whites are going to be the majority population anyways. If we're talking about that anyways, right? Hispanics are, right? Hispanics are moving up to where they're going to be a majority, right? And I'll have no problem with either way. It is what it is. What I'm saying is, as long as you come here into America and you understand what America's about, then I have no problem. You know, it's no problem to me. It is what it is, right? It's just how it's how the world is working. That's what people are coming in. They want the American dream. They want the American life, way of life. They come here. They become part of it, and then they grow and flourish and do separate things. Like the lady in Mexico, Myra Flores, is on a state representative. My dad was from Mexico. She's on board with everything, right? I like her. So my whole thing is like, then you try to manipulate stuff and saying that, listen, if they were doing it what they wanted to do. If that was the plan, right? If that is the original plan, right, was to, then abortions did it, right? Because it's it got 5 times as many blacks as whites to be aborted, right? So I don't know why you would go along with that. Why you would use that as a thing. My whole thing is, I get it, man. I think one point we don't get to is like we don't hold people accountable and responsible, right? So, you know, and this is me being older, 40, not me talking from a 20-year-old, because I was different at that time too. But it's something that you learn. As you get older, you learn. So it's like, you know, having sex out of wedlock, is having random sex with everybody, right? Not protecting yourself. You know, there's so many. I don't mind even, you know, we talk about male birth control. Like, I don't mind that as a thing. If people want to take the pill or whatever they're going to make for a man, cool. Even though condoms are something that, you know, men should use, which, you know, a lot of people don't. If a woman doesn't want to take birth control and the man wants to, you're still going to have that weird dynamic, because now you're going to have to, you know, if you just, that's why I say you should wait till you get in a relationship, you're married, that, you know, you do that. But if you're just dating, you're gonna be at a weird dynamic. Like, are you on the pill? And the guy, is he on the pill? Are you on the pill? If they both say yeah, then you gotta take their word for it, right? You don't really know, right? So you're still gonna have that weird thing going on. But as far as Roe vs. Wade, like I said, I don't have no problem with it. I think it's I don't think from the way that it's explained by like the law, I don't think it's not constitutional to have an abortion. Like, it's not your right, right? It was never even a thing to be thought of, and I don't think it's something that you have a right to do. I think it's just one of the things you choose to do, right? Um, you would choose to do it or choose not to do it, type of thing. So I don't believe it as like a God-given right. I don't think God would actually give you the rights, because most of our rights, I would say, are we always say they're God-given type of thing. So I don't believe that. So I just wanted to say that part. A lot of people might agree, disagree. I try to be understanding of both. Like, I can understand, you know what I mean. But then it comes to a point where there's like, when I hear people talking, especially women, it's my choice. I get it, man. But I think the argument is not saying the argument is kind of muko. You are talking about destroying future life. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to have that conversation and for somebody to be on that side so hard and so like gun ho behind it. You know what I mean? It's just weird for me to talk. Like, I don't know. I just feel weird like having a conversation and you being so gun ho about it, right? About like taking a whatever it is you want to call it, right? I think it's a future life, right? It has DNA. It's starting to grow. It's at that point where it becomes life eventually. You know, whether it's a month, 2 months, whatever it is. If it was faster, then it'd be even harder, right? Then you'd have to be like, oh, in the first month it's already ready to come out. You would have a lot more kids, right? And it would be a lot harder to have an abortion, right? But anyways, I just think it's weird to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't condone it. Like, and even in those situations, it's rough, right? Like rape, but those are like so small. Like if we was to make a law just for that, right? That'd be fine, because it's such a small percentage that it's so small. Like the amount of people that have babies from rape or incest, it's just a really small number, and you can't make a law for the majority off of that. So I just don't. I think they should have a clause in it for that, just for that reason, because I think that would be very, very, very like hurtful, or weird for a woman to have that, and but that again, that would be her choice to be able to do that too, right? Like, she can do it or she don't have to, but there'd be you'd still be taking a life. So I don't. That's a tricky one. Um, but like I said, I think all rapists and stuff should be castrated and put in a box and you know I'm not gonna say killed, but like punished, because I think it's really disgusting. Or incest, or any type of that type of thing, molestation, all that shit is fucking. I don't have any type of. There's no sympathy or empathy on any of that. So for people that do that, I think the worst of them. So I do agree with that. Um, and that's it, man. I just wanted to talk about it. I think people, it's a lot of things going on. I don't think people are really worried about it as much as they think they are, right? Because even the backlash from it is not as big. It's a lot of talking, people on internet running their mouth saying this and that, but it's not as big as like for everybody. You know what I mean? I think it's more of a white liberal, uh, 1970s hippie, you know, when it was passed type of thing. Other than that, I don't think. Like I said, most states are still gonna have it. You're still gonna be able to go to California. You're still gonna be living in New York. Have most of the East Coast, right? Northeast is gonna have for sure. You might have a few South states that balance it. Florida's not there yet, um, but you might have a few, and then some of the North Dakotas, and I don't how many people live there. Um, they'll have a ban on it, but for the most part, like it's not. It's still gonna go on, right? We're still gonna have it because most states are still gonna vote to have it, right? They're not gonna. So like Gavin Newsom said, he's not gonna get rid of it in Cali. So, and then some companies are talking about paying for it. I think they're just kind of going along with it. But yeah, if they want to pay for it, then it is what it is. That's for them to do. So that's just how I feel about it. I just think with most things we need to come at it from that type of perspective and not really. Um, we go to the extreme on a lot of things, man. We're a very extreme society. Like, we go really far. So that's how I felt about it. Like I said, hopefully I made my point that, it just, hopefully I made a point that you can understand. I want to make it so it's simple. Like I said, it's a federal thing. It's not a federal thing anymore. It's up to the states. States get to choose, and that's where you go from there, right? Um, Check me out on the next one, Real Talk with Mo. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Also, the Little Mo podcast. Check me out. All right, we'll see you again.